Yeah, hi guys.
Hiya!
Stream hadn't properly started. I was just putting up the, the pre-stream music and the hey, we're starting soon. We're just getting tea. Chris was quite literally getting tea for the last 20 minutes. And
17, thank you very much.
17. And he has a very, very good quality microphone, as you're probably quite well aware. So it picks up everything in his house and outside, apparently, because there was a lot of traffic at one point as well. So I've been sitting here with myself muted, just going, I have no way to contact him, because he's not going to look at his phone while he's making tea, because he's probably left his phone in his office.
I hadn't actually.
And I can't shout at him, because he hasn't got his headphones on.
Yeah. No, I did have my phone with me, so sorry.
So congratulations, welcome into, I hope you guys enjoyed the last 10 minutes of, just an insight into Chris's life.
Kelly B, we can hear you but not see you.
Yeah, because we hadn't started.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd tell Chris immediately. We hadn't started.
Kelly. Enjoying listening to my life.
Jesus.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Okay, so. Hiya, everybody. Hiya, everybody.
We all blame Jonathan.
Hey! What did I do? You're the one who went. You said, do you need me for the next 7 minutes? And then spent 17 minutes getting tea.
Tea is important.
Yes, but your tea and your time management skills.
What time management skills?
Exactly. Right then. Welcome everybody to Monday Night Stream. We're back. We're doing things. The reason we couldn't do a stream last week was I was fleeing the law in some Eastern European country, and Chris's internet shat itself into oblivion.
It really did. It was really bad.
Yeah, because you were doing some video processing stuff.
I was doing some video processing, and I think my internet at one point dropped to bits per second. It was really bad.
So there was no chance we were going to get a stream, and because I was off in foreign parts, I couldn't exactly throw out the social media stuff and be like, hey guys, sorry, no stream tonight. We're very sorry about that, and it will happen again.
Yes, it will.
Fuck do you think we are? Professionals? Bullshit. I was professional enough, however, to not put the recording on while you were downstairs. So all of that, you shouting across the house to ask Vari if she wants sweeteners or honey in her tea, it has been lost to posterity.
Important question.
It's a very important question, yes. That's why I'm drinking water.
Smart. Hydro homies for the win.
It is also so fucking warm in here.
It's been 22 degrees.
Yeah,
in the West Coast. What's life for you in the East Coast?
Don't know how many degrees, but I know that this room is a significant number of degrees hotter than the rest of my house. Because my PC functions as a second heating unit when playing Baldur's Gate 3. Which I was only doing for a couple of hours before starting this.
Well, you know what, Jonathan? Things would not be so hot and steamy if you stopped shagging bears.
I'm not shagging the bear!
Well, that's your fault.
No, it's the bear's fault. He's an asshole. He's an asshole!
Well, I'm so sorry that the bear is an asshole. To be fair, I think the whole gay community is upset that the bear is an asshole.
Yeah. Although, fun fact, I believe the bear is kind of one of the main component. The bear dude is kind of one of the main components if you want to have any polyamorous relationships in Baldur's Gate 3.
Cute.
From what I have read on the forums, I've been trying to avoid major spoilers, but I wanted to check it was possible to romance multiple people.
That is entirely reasonable.
Because I like that shit.
Bear shagger. Thinking about bears' assholes. Consent to bear.
Is that the evil Mirror Universe version of Pedo Bear?
Apparently, it is the evil Baldur's Gate universe version of Pedo Bear. Consent to bear. Maybe it'd be like Dial a Bear, Consent to Bear,
Rent a Druid.
Rent a Druid.
Anyway, weirdly enough, speaking of magic and weirdly modern conveniences. Welcome everybody to something a little bit different, where we are going to talk about a TTRPG, a tabletop role-playing game that we find very interesting.
We do.
And this week we are going to be talking about City of Mist.
It's pretty cool.
City of Mist. Excuse me, I'm just going to get my fucking notes up. I only have so many screens.
It's fine. Kelly Beeb's just being like, I don't give a fuck about your bears. I need the vampire to bite me now.
The vampire's an even bigger asshole. He's such a cunt. He's such a cunt.
Some people are into that, Jay. You know, that's just...
Many people are into cunt. That's part of the problem.
I should have been prepared for that, but I wasn't. I'm sorry.
Fucking should have, man. You're off your game. I disappear for a week and Chris loses his ability. Anyway.
Yeah.
We are here to talk about City of Mist. And I have prepared, and I'm not joking, I have prepared a whole ass presentation.
Nerd!
Hell yeah. I've prepared a whole ass presentation on the subject. I have worked harder on this than I did on some university work.
That, in fairness, that tracks.
Yeah, some of my university work was very, very easy. I'm gonna hope that nobody from my university is watching, so I don't say anything truly offensive, because hey, I might ask them for money. We'll get to that one day. Anyway, so basically what the sort of format of this is that we've done some D&D stuff on this channel. We played a bit of Baldur's Gate. We've done a lot of D&D homebrew. We've talked at length about our love of tabletop role-playing and role-playing games in general. Because Chris and I are both massive nerds who love to pretend to be other people on a Sunday night.
I mean, I do it for a career, so you know.
Exactly, you do it for a career, and I kind of do the back end of some of that. It's great. So, what we're going to do, this is going to be a very, very long-running series. And by that, I mean, we're going to do this every so often over a very, very long period of time. Where we're going to find a lesser-known RPG, and we're going to talk about it.
Also, AKA, cool. Put your back end away. Goodness gracious me.
My back end stays where it is, thanks. So, hence we have City of Mist, which, to my great chagrin, is a very not amazingly popular RPG, sadly. But it is also quite recent. And I'm sitting here. New and
shiny.
I'm currently sitting here with the entirety of the game, bar a couple of small additional adventures and supplements in my hands right now. I have the player's guide and the Master of Ceremonies toolkit. That's it. That's the entire game. 2 books. Which
was it cheaper than buying any D&D book?
About the same price.
Fair.
Not to note the massive fucking shelf of D&D books I have down here that you can't see.
We'll get them in plain view at some point.
Yeah, we have a problem. I have a problem. I have a problem. And it's dice. I might show off my fancy dice box later on the stream, but we'll see.
Jay's info dump corner. Literally, that is what this is.
Fuck yeah, hell!
Jay has this fabulous presentation that he is going to give to us all, me included.
Yeah, he ain't seen shit of this.
I am going to interrupt regularly to say dumb shit and ask questions, which also means if you have questions, then put them in the chat. And I have a little pen, and I may even write them down and ask them of Jonathan, because he is his nerd day.
Yep.
And we are here to celebrate him.
It's my big day in the nerdy sun. I will also say, normally I can see the chat on my other monitor. Fucking can't this time. Chris is the only one who can see the chat. If you want to direct any questions, direct it through him. So he's going to jump in and make quips and ask questions, just like a real RPG session.
Like my wife telling me that I'm a dumb shit. Love you.
Well, Vary, you married him. I was there.
There's picture evidence.
There's picture evidence. I fucking witnessed your marriage.
You did. You
Yeah,
wrote
there's
your name on
paperwork,
a piece
biatch.
of paper.
Okay, I'll get Mark and ask him as well.
Oh dear.
Anyway, let's get
Yeah.
on to this, because I've been sitting on this slide for fucking ages now. What is City of Mist?
Please, sir, is it a very misty city?
It can be, it might not be, we'll see. But the game in general is a noir-style TTRPG about embodying various characters from fiction in a modern-day city and telling stories with those characters. It was published by Son of Oak Games in 2018, so it's a very recent RPG. It's only within the last 5 years. It's basically existed... I was going to say about as long as... no, it's existed about half the time that D&D 5e has. Made by less cunty people. Hey, Wizards
You mean
of the
it
Coast.
doesn't have a weird ass OGL?
Hey, Wizards of the Coast, send the fucking Pinkertons after me. See what happens.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna get my fucking shit kicked in.
yeah, we're actually gonna get murdered now.
Yep. It's all about the balance between your life as a person and the powers of your powers as a rift, embodying the story and power of a fictional entity. And behold, the power of PowerPoint. One of the main important parts of City of Mist, by the way, all the artwork that you see, I think, okay, maybe not all of it, but I think 90% of the artwork you see in this slideshow is all official stuff that I have clipped from either the website or from a PDF version of the books.
Just to give you a real authentic experience.
Just to give you a real authentic experience, I am sorry that it's pixelated to high fuck. That's my fault.
Yes, Jonathan is not a graphic designer. He is not an artist. He is a programmer and a mouthy shit.
Yes. Not so much the first one, definitely the second one.
Well, I mean, I could have called you management, but then you'd probably have stabbed me.
No, I'd have had to have been very sad and admit that you were right.
Also, heavy bisexual lighting TM.
Well, that's a thing. Now, one of the most important things in the City of Mist is, well, the city. It will be the setting of most of your adventures. It's kind of one of the restrictions of this as an RPG, as a smaller RPG, is that you are very much pushed into modern-ish settings. Like, you're not gonna, unless you manage some plot bullshit, you're probably not going back to fantasy lands. You're not going back to King Arthur's court. But you might be bringing King Arthur's court to you. You can set the city in any modern time period or genre you want. Do you want a full black and white film noir where constant rain hides the seedy underbelly of this once fair city? Or do you want to go for a more 1980s vibes with neon-drenched streets, big hair, and a rocking soundtrack that makes every character feel like David Hasselhoff? Both are equally valid. Welcome to the City of Mist. If it's a city and there's some mist, you're fucking on. The key, as always, is to talk to your players. I'm speaking for anyone who's thinking about running this as a system, or any system. Talk to your fucking players. Make sure they understand what kind of game you're running and the setting. Don't leave that stuff up to mystery. If you've managed to get 5 people to agree to meet up at a specific time on a night to play a game that you have written out for them, don't be a cunt about it. Fucking let them know some shit beforehand, okay, so that they can act accordingly. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's basically
So
a more sweary version of what I've got written here, actually.
Fair enough. I was going to say, just so you know, the chat is getting heavy by, and then Red Diamond has just joined the chat to start, I'm fairly sure, quoting Airplane at us, which, you know, is I mean, you know what? If there was going to be some bisexuality in Airplane, it wouldn't surprise me.
What's the line?
We just flew in the Misty City, and the Misty City is mighty misty. Oh, it's actually Calamity Jane.
I was gonna say that's not
Calamity
Airplane.
Jane is fucking bisexual as anything.
Calamity Jane is big bisexual energy. But anyway, yeah. So, as with any RPG, it's about the conversation between the players. What?
And we're also making bi bolognese.
Fuck yeah. So any RPG, it's about a conversation between the game master and the players, or in this case, the master of ceremonies and the players, because it's kind of a rule with every RPG is you gotta have some kind of wanky name to call your game master.
Just to make it special.
Also, I have no idea if either of our cameras are covering this up.
No, they look fine. I can see all of the bullet points. You're
okay,
all
so
good.
I'm sorry if that happens. It's a little hard to test this stuff. The city is like a real city, and it is broken up into various kind of districts. And you can make this shit up how you want. Like, if you want to model it after a particular city with a particular history and think about how that brings in, you can do that. Free reign. But here's some, like, suggestions that the books bring out. Some kind of general ideas, you know? You have, like, you can have, like, your gentrified Old Quarter. Like, if anyone's been into Old Town in Edinburgh, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, the heart of the city really beats here, but it's recently got a lot more upmarket. This is a place where you might find older rifts or even full-on spirits of places, still hanging on to some remnants of the place that this once was. You're losing your shit over there, Chris.
Yeah, well, sorry, Kelly Beef just hit out with Master of Ceremonies because Dungeons & Dragons wasn't because Dungeon Master wasn't kinky enough.
If your Dungeon Master isn't kinky enough, let them know that.
Absolutely. We've also got Red Diamond throwing some shade with so if we were going to model it after Edinburgh, our districts would be Shitehole, 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 and Shitehole.
See, I always liked Randy Feltface's bit where he talks about sort of the naming of suburbs and how there was a place that was like used to be a kind of a mining town, so they named all the streets after elements and stuff. So you get like oxide and bromide. And I remember him saying, yeah, it'd be really easy to tell people where I lived if I could just tell them to take a lift at the corner of Soy Latte and Hipster Fuckwit. Or just talking about the place he grew up, being like, yeah, you know, it's I live just across from the corner of Bucket Bong and Pregnant Teenager.
Well, I mean, to be fair, better than Glasgow, where we just named all the streets after tobacco merchants and slavers.
Whoop! Well, here's the thing, in Glasgow it would be Shouting Alcoholic and Stabbing Victim would be the junction of two streets.
Aye, and like Cambuslang and Rutherglen. Sure.
Aye.
But you know, the merchant city's got to still be, you know,
Soy Latte and Hipster Fuckwit.
I was gonna go with institutional abuse and racism.
That's what the street. Anyway,
so we have the Jewel scheme. Oh dear.
You have a number of districts that you can break things up into. So you've got your gentrified old quarters, you've got sort of like cultural congregations, like your typical Chinatowns, or where like people of specific cultures have emigrated into a country tend to gather. These happen. I'm trying not to use the word ghetto, but you know what? They probably evolved out of those because fuck man, the past is a fucked place. You've got your blue-collar residential areas, you've got like a central business district, like anything, any kind of area in a city you can think of, from like a real-world example or like historical stuff or fantasy or whatever. Fucking use it, build it. It really helps to like flesh out the city to have these, you know, these brick-and-mortar locations throughout the place. The point I'm making is that you can think of any number of different places in your city, from, you know, big sweeping areas or little back alley shops. Fucking go wild. Oh god, I'm sorry, I'm belching a lot here. Now we're going to talk about the other half of that. We've talked about the city, now let's talk about the mist. Now, this is going to get a bit of a thing, so I'm going to try for as little interruptions as possible. The Mist is an intentionally mysterious force that pervades the entire city. We know that it hides the supernatural from regular people, or sleepers as they're called. Not only can they not see the supernatural, they don't even remember what it's done. It's not a foolproof coverall though, because your actions do have effects. People might not remember the woman throwing fireballs, but they will remember the destruction. They'll just think it was a gas leak or a terrorist attack or something. The mist doesn't just warp perception though, it's more subtle than that. If a sleeper is about to witness the manifestation of your mythos, your magical powers, I made some of these a bit out of order, so I might be, having to go over points later, just be patient. something will happen to make them look the other way or obscure you. Literally, like they might be about to see you teleport, but somebody's stray sheet off a washing line will like flick between you. Or think the classic scene where the protagonist is looking across the street at someone they think is dead, and then a truck goes by and they're gone. That shit. I'm annoyed that I didn't think of that while I was writing this fucking script.
I mean, I thought you were going to invoke Truckkin, but you know.
Truckkin is away.
Truckkin could be a character in City of Mist, and we'll explain that later.
It could. I mean, hey, DC Comics did it once. That's a whole thing. They did a weird like Batman multiverse thing. It's weird.
I mean, Marvel did the same with Spider-Man. Let's not engage in it.
True. But Spider-Man's more fun.
Spider-Man is more fun.
Anyway.
Spider-Man did and done better and had better video games around its multiverse.
I mean, yeah, Arkham games. But
anyway. But Arkham games aren't about multiverse.
That's true.
This is about the multiverse.
That's true. Anyway, We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the Mist, which, can obscure you and hide things, and it tends to act on circumstance rather than like blanket things. For example, a pitched battle in the streets suddenly doesn't have an audience anymore because torrential rain has forced everybody back inside. But here's the thing, the Mist does not exist to protect the player characters or any other rifts. I mean, it does that, but that's not all it does. The Mist can orchestrate events with almost unbelievable synchronicity and can use anything to hide the miracles and legends from both the sleepers and the rifts alike. The only difference is that rifts remember what happens. I'm really going to enjoy going back over the video of this and seeing all the comments. I
mean, this the absolutely Kelly Weep has just thrown out with. I think if someone's about to see you, they should get hit by a bus. But it's the same bus every time. Like, that's the secret of the Mist, is just one homicidal bus.
One homicidal bus. Excuse me, I'm going to go rewrite a whole bunch of shit.
And AKA has also just hit out with, so, what you're saying, Jay, is that the Mist is like the Tories' ferry deal.
I'd like less pain in my presentation, please.
Oh dear, it's for anyone not aware, the Tories ferry deal is where we spent billions. We gave the British government gave billions to a ferry company for the use of their ferries during COVID and during Brexit. And somehow there were no ferries. Everybody was looking for them ferries and no ferries appeared. It's a mystery. Billions of pounds.
There is no spoon. There are no fairies.
Literally.
There is no Santa Claus. There is no Easter Bunny, and there is no Queen of England.
Yep.
Anyone's ever seen Megamind?
Dear.
It's fucking great.
Yo, Haringern!
Hey!
We're currently comparing Truckkin and Tory Brexit policies.
I'm trying to get a fucking thing here.
Yes, we are.
I've now told you about the lore and the setting, but let's get into the really fun stuff, you know? Let's talk about the characters and let's talk about the gameplay of this role-playing game. Okay? The really cool thing that I personally enjoy the most about City of Mist, apart from, being able to embody any character from fiction, is the balance between sort of the everyday mortal life and your fucking magic bullshit that goes on. Despite having potentially incredible powers, you do also have a life. Because you're playing a guy. You're playing a person. For example, the first character I ever played in this system owned a cafe. And, had to manage that alongside the case he was involved in. Which eventually, resulted in getting his hands blown off. But I'll cover that later. But it served as a really fun bit of RP for me, and also a mechanical sanctuary for people to take place in. Yes, Chris.
I have one question.
Yeah.
For some of us who struggle to pretend that we have a life anyway, do we have to pretend to have a life in this TTRPG?
Well, here's the thing. One of the example characters in the books is a big fucking shut-in.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's a shut-in gamer who I think like somehow awakens to the powers of a martial arts master or something. It's weird. He's not one of the characters I really looked into that much. Sorry. His name's Bodhi.
Bodhi?
Somebody. No, literally, his name is Bodhi, as in Bodhisattva.
Bodhi was a shut-in, and they never left their house, and they cried a lot. Sorry.
Anyway, to look at a more mechanical thing, what we have here are the kind of what make up the character sheet of City of Mist. What will make up your character? You have two kinds of cards. You've got your Logos cards, which are on the left, and your Mythos cards, which are on the right. These kind of describe what you have and your abilities. You get 4 cards in total, like up to like any number of each, up to 3. Like you can have 3 Mythos, 1 Logos, or 3 Logos, 1 Mythos, or 2 of each. Personally, I don't like letting players have 3 Mythos right off the bat because that's insanely powerful, but also I like having a little bit of balance. It's fun. And the balance between these two is determined by the 4 cards that make up your entire character. You can decide how many... Yeah, I've done all that bit. At certain points of the story, things will happen to your character, be they good or bad. These things will result in sort of new tags being added to your cards, or in extreme cases, you losing a card. Like if you lose a Mythos card, it becomes you get a new Logos card. If you lose a Logos card, it becomes a new Mythos card. And that kind of is how you can tilt one way or the other. The tags on each of these cards are kind of how you use them. The entire thing is a 2d6 system. So I think I've got an example at some point later, so I'll explain that in a minute. And I've probably put this slide in slightly the wrong place, but fuck it. I'll talk about the kind of abilities you can have from each side, right? So I'll talk about Logos first and then Mythos. Your Logos is your real life. All the things that make up a person in the real world and connects them to the realistic aspects of the city. These are more about who your character is rather than what they can do. It focuses a lot on your backstory and who you are apart from your Mythos. Things like a defining event or a relationship, the routine that you go through even day, or even just your personality. Literally, one of the cards is you can choose a personality. Characters with more Logos cards are closer to the real world, but consequently less powerful within the Mist. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. A character that ends up with 4 Logos cards, because that can happen, is called a sleeper. You become a regular person. They can't see through the mist. They can't remember what the supernatural world is even like. And they just go about their lives, blissfully unaware of the extraordinary things going on around them. It is possible for a player character to become a sleeper again, at which point there's some rules for it, but mostly it's that character just gets taken over by the MC again. Yes, Chris?
We have a question from Kelly Beebe that says, are you able to change cards voluntarily, or does it have to be events occurring that swaps cards between Logos and Mythos?
It has to be events occurring. In order to change a card, something you do have to lose something. Like, here's the thing. If, for example, you wanted to gain a new power in the Mist for your character, like you were embodying the myth of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, and you wanted to get his flying cloud as a mobility mythos. Possibly you might have to give up some part of your Logos. You might have to give up some aspect of your personality. You might have to give up some kind of relationship in order to get that. It's about balancing. So I think any voluntary want to change a card would have to be a big conversation between you and your MC to sort of build events to work towards that. So it's all about balance. And having more of one or the other is not necessarily a bad thing. Logos comes with just as many skills as Mythos. They're just more real world oriented than magical. For example, if you were a criminal and you had your defining event was that you went to prison, you might have learned how to fight in there. You might have picked up skills from other prisoners. You might have, gotten stronger by spending all your days lifting weights. It's a lot of things. You gain a lot of things. There's always benefits to each card. Which brings me to the Mythos. The Mythos is your magical powers. all of the abilities that stretch beyond mortal capacity. One of the things I really like about City of Mist is that you can go absolutely fucking hog wild with a character's power level. Seriously, one of the examples under the Bastion mythos, which is like defensive abilities, is just invulnerability. It just says invulnerability. Like, you want to walk around with Luke Cage's bulletproof skin, you can fucking do that. The center of these cards is who or whatever you're basing your mythos on. Basically, anything from fiction is a fair game. Some bits from history as well, like including fictionalizations of real things. All the categories are pretty broad. Yes, Chris?
Are there limits to that? So, for instance, you're saying character from fiction. You've listed things like, Sun Wukong, obviously, from Journey to the West. But, again, so having cited Truck-kun, for instance, could I make a character whose power is derived from Truck-kun?
If your MC is amenable to that, yes. Absolutely yes. I do have literally, the next slide I have is just titled, "What do you mean, in fiction?" When I say anyone in fiction, I fucking mean anyone. But yeah, your sort of mythos, as with your logos, are kind of split into different categories, although these are a bit more wankily named. They're pretty broad, but they help to narrow down the exact powers so that you can use them in a mechanical sense. You can understand power tags you would have. You've got your adaptation for changing things or powers with a lot of different small uses. Bastion for defensive powers. Divination for special senses, mind reading and shit like that. Expression for powers you project out, like blasting fire or a healing touch. Mobility is for special movements like super speed or flight. Relics are magical items that give you powers like Poseidon's Trident or Mjolnir. And subversion is for sneaky powers like invisibility or disguising yourself with magic. If you wanted to be, sorry, I'm kind of going through this because I was worried that this presentation was not going to last the 2 hours, and then I remembered how much bullshit we talk.
Yeah, I was going to say that was never in danger
because it's a long presentation. There's 15 slides in it. 17
slides is not a long presentation, Jay.
It is when you got this much information to talk.
Fair.
A character that gets 4 mythos cards becomes an avatar. Not The Last Airbender or some shitty James Cameron stuff. Something different. It's a really useful word. It's got a lot of bad uses. They become a living embodiment of their mythos. These characters are wildly powerful, drawing on the truest power of their mythos, and nearly becoming them in that sense. But at the same time, they lose so much of their humanity. They lose all connection to the city, to their identity, to who they are. It is possible for an avatar to just fucking vanish into the mist itself, never to be seen again, becoming part of all the magic that pervades the world. Now, as I said to Chris, you have the big question when I say, who can you be? And what do I mean when I say in fiction? I mean everybody. I wish I should have just put the Gary Oldman gif of just going, everyone! A mythos is a story that is trying to manifest itself in the city, and it needs a person to do it. Not always a person, sometimes it is a thing or an animal or even a place. This gives you a wide scope as to what kind of mythos you can embody. As far as it is concerned, you have got carte blanche to go with whatever you want. You want to wield Excalibur? You can. You want to soar across the sky on a cloud like Sun Wukong? You can. You want Superman's laser eyes? You can bet your ass you can have them. Anything.
So, at the moment, the suggestions are Hatsune Miku, also known as Nicholas Ladislao Fedor Flores, born 19th August 1985, commonly known as Miku. We have
Bible.
That's a joke you're not gonna get. Don't worry.
No,
we have Audrey 2. We have Optimus Prime.
Yep.
Audrey 2 I think would be really funny. Just bottomless hunger.
Oh, that would be so cool.
It would be very cool.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool, man.
Absolutely. So there we go. That be the next time we'll go and run a game with powers based on characters from musicals.
See, this is what I really love about City of Mist. This is kind of what brings it above other RPGs. Like, I was introduced to this by a friend of mine, and as soon as he gave me the concept, I went, yes, I can do everything. And I just, all the time, characters come to me for this, and it's amazing. You can make whatever crazy bullshit that comes to mind. You want to play as a teenage runaway who can summon an army of Norse warriors? Yeah! Or a postman who can see the future? Yeah! Or even a bank manager that can grow huge wings and breathe fire because they're embodying a fucking dragon? Yes! All of these are entirely valid characters. I have not found a system anywhere else that is this good for coming up with utterly fucking bananas character concepts. Yeah!
We have another question from the chat, which is from Froyo. Can you have the Infinity Gauntlet? The answer is, of course, only in if you're basic. But Jonathan, what is your answer? Can you have the Infinity Gauntlet?
If you came to me as a player and said, "Hey, I would like to embody, let's just say Thanos for the simplicity, and I would like the relic of the Infinity Gauntlet," I would say that you would be like, "Yes, you can have the Infinity Gauntlet, but your quest is going to be to try and assemble these gems." Because, you can't... Because one of the great things about this is you gotta build in... Like, you can really build in what the mysteries are surrounding your powers and what kind of mission you're on. Because here's the thing. As cool as an idea is to say, I would like to play someone with infinite power, it gets real boring real fast for everyone at the table. So having somewhere to go to is always important. So yes, have the Infinity Gauntlet. You're going to spend the rest of the case finding those gems and building your power, and it's going to get nutty.
That sounds pretty sensible.
The really important thing I would want to note here, though, is that your character is not your mythos. Sure, they can influence your character's personality and their life, but they don't have to be one and the same. Just because you've got the mythos of Zeus doesn't mean you need to go around and bang everything on at least 2 legs. You can take aspects of the mythos to shape your character, but remember they are their own distinct person. You can make them completely separate if you want. You can make them really at odds with your mythos. And that's really interesting narratively. Don't feel like basically everything I learned about City of Mist is like, don't feel penned in. Like, we need to specify some stuff so you can use it, but don't ever feel penned in with like what you can come up with. I've got a couple of example characters here from the books. We have here Lance Sullivan, who is a newspaper reporter with the mythos of Don Quixote. He's attached, meaning that he has only got 1 mythos card and 3 logos. And the book has a really great breakdown of how his character is put together. If you ever get a chance to like buy the books or even find the PDFs, I highly recommend it. Looking at it, because what it does is actually writes down the conversation between the player and the MC. It actually runs through their conversation. It's a really good way of like demonstrating how to put together a character. It's a fantastic way of doing it. The book goes through how the hypothetical player chooses his themes and picks all of the tags for those themes that go with Lance's abilities. It breaks down the conversation between the MC and the player and talking about how each tag is chosen. For example, making Lance's weapons and armor spectral to reflect Don Quixote's tendency to be a complete fucking fantasist, tilting at windmills and all that shit. He's a really good example of how you should pick your power tags and base them around your mythos' personality. Like, Lance's whole thing in the book is that he's like driven to find the truth, and he is like on this quest. And like I don't know if anyone here has read Don Quixote. It's a weirdly interesting book that's got a surprising amount of really good feminism in it, despite the fact that the main character is a fuckhead.
Yes,
is a fuckhead. And don't look. There's a few interpretations of Don Quixote. There's like, he's a star-crossed dreamer. He's not. He's a fucking lunatic. And the books expressly make him out to be. The book makes him expressly out to be a lunatic. Like, Cervantes had a point to make. But the point is, like, Don Quixote goes mad and picks some girl in his village who's never actually spoken to be his lady love, gives her a new name in his head, and goes out to quest for her as like some chivalric knight, and gets the shit kicked out of him quite a lot. and attacks a lot of people. He's a fuckhead in the book. But Lance's whole mystery is, who is that woman? Who is my Dulcinea? So, like, you have the myth, you have the complete story, and you've got to decide kind of what parts you want to build in as, like, where am I going with this? Yes.
So, if, for instance, my character were the Roadrunner,
Okay.
and of course my story is all about going places fast and outsmarting the people who would prevent me from doing so, then I could have a good way to build that might be, talking about motivations around traveling and getting to places, but also about possibly I could engage like paranoia because I always feel like there's someone hunting me.
Or even you could go more lighthearted with it, and you have a bit of, like, your powers are all around outfoxing people.
Fair.
And proving that you are not, or even proving that you are, can just waltz through things. And you're wondering who is after you, who is your Wile E. Coyote. Yes,
well, we have another question from the chat, which is from AKA asking, what happens when you find your answer?
Well, that's one of the big questions, isn't it?
Oh.
That could be one of the big events that changes your mythos. What happens when you answer the question that is your mystery? How do things progress? Because, as in real life, it's rare that you ever find just the answer. You're always going to find more questions and more things. But hey, that's for you to play and to roleplay with your character and see where you end up with. I have got another character as an example to sort of look through other things.
Okay.
Meet Mitosis.
As in, like, the separation of the cells?
Yeah, that's what he calls himself. He calls himself Mitosis. He's this ex-boxer who has a proper superhero origin where he was, like, irrevocably changed by a chemical accident. And what I really like about him is he has the mythos of the concept of evolution. That
okay.
You can be as it's kind of one of the why I picked him as an example character. There's my advice is go onto their website. They've got a whole bunch of example characters out there. Fucking check them out. Some of them are really, really cool.
So it's not just characters from fiction, but it's like concepts.
Exactly.
As well.
You can do concepts, you can do creatures, you can do ideas, you can do fucking anything, man. It's amazing. His whole thing is that he was horribly changed and disfigured by this accident, but because it basically jumped his cells into overdrive. Think Deadpool, but without the cancer. So he gets healing powers, he can grow extra limbs, you fucking name it. And it's a really good example of how you don't have to have like a magical thing that happens. It can just be a mundane event that awakens somebody into the mist. Because there's got to be some reason why your character went from a sleeper to understanding and knowing the mist. A lot of different ways you can do that. You can have your standard superhero, Daredevil, Ninja Turtles origin. By the way, same origin. I love that. You can have that. Or you can have some magical invention, like literally a fairy walked by and flirted with you too hard. Like, you can do whatever. It's great. It's so open, this system. I love it. But let's talk about the nitty-gritty of things. Let's talk about the actual gameplay. I swear I'll try not to get too bogged down in details. It's a very mechanics light system. I've got some example. I've got a good example that I think sort of fleshes things out. Everything is based around rolling 2d6, so just raid the nearest copy of Monopoly if you want to play it IRL. Everything is based around this system. Basically, if you roll a 6 or below, you usually fail. If you get a 7 to 9, it's like a partial success where you kind of do what you want, but the MC gets to fuck with you in some way. And a 10 plus is like a total success. You just fucking do what you're trying to do. There's a ton of systems that use this kind of thing. Look up any Powered by the Apocalypse systems. They all use this. City of Mist has like some other like tacked on bits, but they're not really that important. You can explain them as you go. It's pretty simple. The way the City of Mist kind of differs is that there are actually no stats. There are no stats in this game. There's no strength, no dexterity, no constitution, no gumption, no wit, no je ne sais quoi. Okay? What you instead have are all the power tags that I showed you on the cards earlier. That can be invoked to add or subtract bonuses from the rolls. There's also a number of moves that you can do, and the MCU will ask you to do. When this happens, you will say, I've got this power tag that will help in this situation, and the MC will either say yes or no. If they say yes, you get +1 for every power tag that you do that with, and if they say no, you don't. This does matter as more than a bonus, though, since a number of the moves will work better with the more power tags you have added to the roll. This is called juice for some fucking reason. I don't know why. I think that's probably like a filmmaking term or something. And you usually get juice equal to the number of power tags you use, and then you can spend that on crafting the outcome of your move.
I'm assuming that it's juicing up your powers.
Fucked if I know. For example, the investigate move will give you a number of clues equal to the amount of juice you have for that move. So it's good. Yeah, I know it's very annoying. But I'm
laughing that you need more OJ in your life.
If the glove fits,
hey!
Look at me, I'm Johnny Cochran. But I'll give you an example, okay? I'll give you like an actual example of how this works, because I just ran through that very quickly. It's a bit hard, it's a bit of a mouthful. So, say you're playing an ex-army veteran with the mythos of Heracles. So you got a mythos card with the tag Incredible Strength, and a training logos card with the tag Unarmed Combat Expert. And you roll to punch someone in the face. This would be a go toe-to-toe or a go all-out move. Like, it's a couple of examples. You can call on the tags from both to get a +2. So you can say, like, hey, I want to hit this guy in the face. I've got this unarmed combat thing from my training, and I've got Incredible Strength. Can I pull on those? Your MC says yes. You get a +2 to that roll. So, say you roll the 2d6, you get an 8 on both of those, a +2 will turn into a 10, total success. Bonuses matter. And again, I want to stress, do not dismiss the skills that a Logos card might give you. I know it's fun to like sort of play around with the magical ideas, never dismiss the mundane. There's a lot of practical use to real world skills, as much as some of us just don't fucking have them. Yeah, you would do that, you would then get 2 juice to spend on determining the outcome of that move. Say you want the punch to knock him on his ass, or you want to send him flying through a window. You can spend that juice to create those effects. And also, remember the one golden rule that applies to all tabletop role-playing games and any and all social games that exist. Remember who your character is, and don't be a dick. Chris.
So what you're saying is that when it comes to like building your character and like rolling for things, it's basically CV padding.
Kind of, yes, actually. Kinda, yes.
You go like, I have done these 2 jobs, and in these jobs, I absolutely developed every single skill that I need to fight a bear.
There are limits to how many power tags you can put on a card at once. I think it's 3 power tags and a weakness. Every card gets a weakness tag, because there's got to be something for the MC to just be like, oh ho ho, fuck you. So there are limits to the number. So you can't, like, more tags can be added through like events and trainings and developments and things, and like, you know, you find a new way to use your abilities, or like someone teaches you how to pick a lock or whatever. Silence, bottle.
We have another question from the chat. Aside from the suggestion that my weakness be cake, which I take offense to, no, it's fine. I love cake.
We all love cake. Cake is great.
So, when you have juice to spend,
yes,
do you gotta spend that juice on that move, or is it something that you can save for later?
It's kind of it's kind of for each move.
Right.
You can't really like store a bank of juice to use later. So there's no chance you're going to drown anybody with a carton of Umbongo.
So it's more like for each move, you'll be like, for each move that I'm asked to roll for, I can be like, right, I have these power tags, and that gives me sufficient juice to add to this roll.
That gives you the power to add to the roll, and then you get the juice afterwards for that roll. Like, you get juice equal to power to then change the outcome. Like I said, if you want to, like, your punch wants to knock him on his ass or send him flying out a window, or get him where you want him, kind of stuff.
Hang on, so...
Yeah.
Right.
Power tags are a bonus.
Right. To
You
the
then,
roll.
when you then roll, and
Yep.
and if you succeed, you'll get juice equal to the power tags that you use, to the bonus you got from your power tags. And you can then use that juice to influence the moves. It's a little bit couple too many steps sometimes in explanation, but trust me, it works a lot easier when you're actually playing, which is, so you would roll, you did the thing, you roll, you do the thing, okay, I say, okay, you used 3 power tags on that roll, you have 3 juice to spend. You can have, say if it was the investigate move, it was like, okay, now I have to give you 3 clues. Or it's the go toe to toe. It's like, okay, here's like a few things you can do. Like you can knock him over, you can get him where you want him, you can put him in the line of fire of somebody else, and like you work out between you how much and how badly you want to do.
Okay, so it's more like, so for instance in that the soldier Heracles punching guy thing, it's like the action you have decided to take is
Punch him in the face.
I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
And then if you say I have these 2 power tags I can do, and then you succeed, they'll be like, right, you have 2 juice to then be like, decide in what way you wish to punch him in the face.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if you didn't have those power tags and you succeeded, it'd just be like, and you punch him, and he's punched.
Yeah. Or you'd miss.
Right.
And then the MC gets to hit you back.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, alright, so juice is for after your success,
Yeah.
using it to like take steps to make it more badass.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a hard to explain system, but trust me, it flows a lot better in the actual game.
Right.
It's a weird one. It's a weird system where it's like there's too many steps to this process, but they actually flow together really well.
I mean, it reminds me of. It reminds me a little bit of. There's a system that I was briefly introduced to many years ago called Exalted, which has a kind of like epic system whereby like if you the more specifically like meant like epic and crazy you try and make the action you want to do, like the more, I think it was the more dice you get, but equally well then if you fail, you fail much harder.
Yeah,
so
I like that. Yeah, so like the more you invoke your abilities, the better you do, and the more shit you can do with that move.
Yeah.
Which doesn't like it can encourage a certain level of specialization and also a certain level of generalism. It's like if you really wanted to build your character towards like sneaking around and being stealthy. Say you have say you were a car thief as a life, and you have a subversion mythos of invisibility. You'd be like, look, I know how to I can make myself invisible, but I also know how to like avoid electrical systems, like cameras and shit, and I know how to be quiet because of this. Every tag you choose that makes things specific loses out on a level of generalism, because here's the thing: when you have that sneakiness and you're called upon to, for example, you are in an enclosed situation and you're called on to either fight or run away from a situation, you've got less to work with. So I encourage everybody to sort of like spread your abilities out.
That's fair.
And use them. Like again,
but equally well, you could choose to make like a complete glass cannon if you wanted to.
You could make it's not so much glass cannon as hyper specialized.
Okay.
It really is like, do you want to do jack of all trades? Do you want to do master of one? There's a lot going on there. Fun fact: I did actually come up with a character concept for jack of all trades, and he had 3 mythos cards that were all based on different fictional characters called Jack.
I like that, to be fair.
Yeah. I had Jack Frost, Spring-Heeled Jack, and I think Jack the Ripper were kind of the three there, and it was a whole like identity crisis going on.
Fair enough.
Never got to play that character, but I really like the concept, so I may use him at some point.
That's cool.
So he's got like ice powers, or big jumping, or fucking psycho rip your head off.
Yeah. Psycho killer.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Right. Come on.
Yeah. So, in terms of the actual moves, you have. This is one of the things I fucking love about City of Mist, because this presentation is partially just me gushing about how much I fucking love this system. Because why would I talk about a system I don't like?
Right.
There are two kinds of moves. There are regular moves, and there are cinematic moves. Like, City of Mist is so about making things cool. That's at the end of the day, like, City of Mist, it was in City of Mist that I found kind of one of my core beliefs as a game master that I try and carry through into every game that I run, or I play, especially games that I run, is that as a game master, you are the player's biggest fan. You are the player's biggest fan. But at the same time, therefore, it is your job to put them in the situations where they can do the coolest shit. If someone picks an ability that they like, give them chances to use it. Like, if somebody picks that invisibility power and chooses that car thief background, give them bits where they need to sneak through a place to, like, steal shit. Give them times to shine. Like, you know, somebody chooses fire powers. Give them some explosive barrels to fuck with. Like, do good shit. Let the players do cool shit. And one of the main sort of mediums that you do cool shit through is the moves. Mostly, this does work a lot like any other TTRPG, where you say, I want to do this. And the MC says, okay, that sounds to me like a bleh roll. Like in D&D, you would say, someone gets injured, you're like, I'd like to pull the arrow out of the wound. And your DM would say, okay, that sounds to me like a medicine check. Whereas this is like, I would like to hide behind this car and not get noticed by the guards. That sounds to me like a sneak around check. Yeah, it's a similar deal. Every RPG I've ever encountered kind of works like that. Player will say they want to do a thing. MC will be like, okay, that sounds like bleh.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's kind of the basic moves. Change the game is kind of your most versatile move. It basically comes into play whenever a character tries to gain some kind of advantage. Like getting out of a tough spot or helping people out. Basically, it's kind of the catch-all move for an MC to call on when they can't decide. And like a lot of 2d6 systems, these moves let you pick from a select list of effects as the outcome of that move. Like Monster of the Week is kind of a big culprit for that. You've got Convince, which is pretty much what it says in the tin. You use that to talk, threaten, or seduce somebody into doing what you want them to do. Fairly straightforward. Face Danger is what you do when you're taking a hit straight to the face. And that doesn't just mean combat, by the way. If you're trying to resist the effects of a poison, or a magical charm, or a social situation, or you want to talk to the barista who got your name wrong, that's a Face Danger move. Mechanically,
I vibe with that.
Yeah. Mechanically, it's used whenever a character is trying to resist a status that is being unwillingly inflicted upon them. That can be from poisoned to my name has been spelled wrong.
Does it include you have to do the laundry? You have no clean clothes. Do the laundry now.
That sounds more like a take the risk move, and we'll get to that later. Or possibly even a go toe-to-toe move, depending on how large your laundry chair has become. We have all engaged in laundry chair, we all know. Anyway, the go toe-to-toe is the offensive counterpart to that, as I was saying. You use it whenever you engage in close combat, or exchange fire between yourself and another character, or even engage in a battle of wits, to try to outrun people. Basically, it's the move for 99% of conflicts. And I love the idea of two characters just in a room having that really intense argument with each other, and it's just rolling go toe to toe moves, but nobody's actually hitting anybody.
I was going to say Kelly Beep has just said if it gives me anxiety, it counts as danger, and I'm like 10 out of 10 correct.
Well, that's pretty much counts. But for the sort of, but like go toe to toe is like your 99% for direct conflict, shall we say. And then for the remaining 1%, there's hit it with all you've got. This is where you let your powers or abilities to like really lay down a smacking in on someone or something. It's not like a full unleashing of your power, but we'll get to that. Because there is ways to like overextend your powers beyond what they normally do. And that can have like really, really drastic consequences. Like a character I played in my first ever game of City of Mist. His name is Graham. He had fire powers from the goddess Hestia. And the game, the final session of it ended. We were dealing with these like Russian drug dealers. And basically what I did was I blew the building up. Like, I unleashed all the fire and fury and fucking blew up the building. I fully leveled an entire city, like almost an entire city block with fire. But the result of that was I didn't necessarily roll high enough for there to be no adverse effects. And I lost a Logos card for it. It got changed into a new Mythos, which unfortunately didn't come into play because the campaign ended there. But it also blew his fucking hands off.
Oh dear.
So there can be, while you can have big powers, the MC should not be afraid to give big consequences.
Fair.
Because here's the thing, if I had rolled kind of any lower on that particular check, Graham probably would have fucking died. He'd have been dead.
Fair. So big risks and big rewards. Again, like similar to what I was saying about Exalted. Yeah. Yeah.
Like big risk, big reward. Like, but that's for, you can specifically say, "Hi, I kind of want to go all out." Investigate is pretty self-explanatory. You're snooping around, eavesdropping on people, or connecting things on a corkboard with color-coded string. Better you roll, the more clues you get. And you can also use this move to peer further into the myths, or maybe even contact your mythos if your MC allows it.
Ooh.
Genuinely, like a couple of days ago, I had a really cool idea of someone playing like a hacker with the mythos of the Ghost in the Machine.
Oh, that would be cool.
But instead of having like being able to like travel systems or whatever, they talk to the ghost.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, I want to mess with that at some point.
Yeah.
Sneak around again is also pretty self-explanatory. It's used whenever you're trying to be deceptive in any shape or form. Whether you're just trying to go unnoticed, or actually even when you're just lying straight to somebody's face. Like if you're trying to deceive anybody, it's a sneak around move. And finally, in the books, and this is a direct quote, it literally says, when you perform a daring, risky, or outright stupid feat.
Excellent.
Need I say more?
Not at all.
Exactly. And where we have the regular moves, we also have their counterparts, and again, I love that they're called this, the cinematic moves.
Absolutely. For when shit is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Exactly. Well, not even that, but yes. Chris and I very recently had an argument over what constitutes a cinematic universe. And
we did.
That's a whole video to itself, and FactFiend did it better.
It's all to do with the definition of what makes something a universe, as opposed to a series, or let's not talk about it. We're here talking about...
Again, that's a whole ass video, and FactFiend did it better. I highly recommend you go talk about them, because basically the way they talk about like Paramount's planned dark universe, which started and ended with Tom Cruise's The Mummy, is so fucking hilarious.
I know my favorite thing about that is that like they had like a really solid plan and a really kind of like laid out thing, and then they brought in Tom Cruise.
They did for The Mummy.
But this is the thing: Tom Cruise almost single-handedly sank that film. And it's incredible the dumb shit that he insisted on. It's just wild.
Yeah. Do you want the really funny? This is gonna be the last point we make on this. The funniest part about the Dark Universe is there's a very famous the promo photo shoot that they did, which is where they got all they got all the actors that were kind of playing their major parts. Like they were gonna do Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yep.
Some cool shit. Yeah, that's all photoshopped. None of those people were in the same room.
That is
They couldn't
hilarious.
even get the actors in the same fucking room.
I mean, I'm still just like...
How are you supposed to get them in the same film if you can't even get them in the same room for one photo shoot?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
See, that's what I kind of... That's kind of what I thought it was going to build up to.
I mean, I'm assuming that's exactly what it was going to build up to.
Yeah.
Because that's, I'm fairly sure, is where they got all the licenses, was from doing that film.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Warner Brothers? Fuck knows. Because it was Paramount that were doing the Dark Universe. It died in its ass. Literally every cinematic universe since Marvel has failed for the same goddamn reason.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Well, it's not just that it's stupid. They failed because they're like, oh, we're gonna make a universe out of this one film. Because that's not actually how Marvel started. They did all the disparate films, and they were like, okay, we're gonna try the Avengers, and then it all came together.
Yes.
Like there were hints together, but like you watch the first Iron Man movie, it's a standalone movie.
They had no idea it was going to be that successful.
No idea it was going to be that successful. No idea it was going to fucking work. They had no idea that Robert Downey Jr. was going to stay sober. It was like,
Yeah, this is true.
And then, you get that, you get Captain America, and then you get, Thor, I think is probably the first rumblings of it as a universe.
Yeah.
And then they did the Avengers, and it was like, holy shit, this thing's got legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, I think.
But because that was the problem. What was the second movie in the DC cinematic universe?
Well, Batman versus Superman.
Batman versus fucking Superman.
Well, because didn't they? This is the thing.
They did
right?
Man of Steel, which was bad.
Yes.
Which was bad. Superman should not be drowning in a pit of skulls. Pa Kent should not be telling Superman to let a bus full of school children fucking die.
Yeah, it was real stupid.
Both of those things happen in Man of Steel, and I will never stop bitching about it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yep. And, then they did Batman vs. Superman, where they introduced literally fucking some of the biggest names in DC Comics really, 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 really fast.
Yeah, and badly.
Yeah, because they did Batman, they did Wonder Woman, and they did Doomsday, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, which is, like, really stupid, because that's, like, literally the end of...
They immediately did Death of Superman.
Yeah.
Which is one of the... It's a huge comic arc. It's like the Death of Superman was like a huge, big deal in the comics world.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant thing. Like, it was a brilliantly done thing. But, fucking build up, boys.
Sorry. Kelly Beebe has just very appropriately commented, you guys don't even need us to derail this convo, laughing my ass off. So yes, let's stop there and let's discuss cinematic moves.
Let's talk about the cinematic moves. Because this is the big stuff. This is the big stuff. Cinematic moves are less concerned with the nitty-gritty of actual gameplay and are more designed around cool moments and framing the session. For example, the voiceover monologue move, which as a piece of like RPG storytelling, I fucking love it. It's great. It's a really cool idea. At the beginning of session, one player goes into a monologue as their character, relating the character's thoughts and feelings at this point in the story. Think of it as a sort of like previously on from the character's perspective. I think it's a really cool way of getting a player kind of like more involved in the scene and a good way of having people think about their character's thoughts and feelings depending on these situations. My advice, if you're an MC and you're going to be running this, decide who's doing the voiceover monologue well before the session, and like an hour before you start, just drop that person a text and be like, hey, here are my notes from the last session. Make sure If anyone's doing the voiceover monologue, make sure they have the notes from the previous session so people don't forget. Okay? Anyone who takes notes during an RPG session, you are the earthly manifestation of Christ and you deserve a pizza.
10 out of 10 agree.
Yeah, people who take notes during RPG sessions are the best. Because 99% of the time, your game master can't. But yeah, the voiceover, yeah, let them know that they're doing the voiceover monologue. Be like, hey, think about your characters' thoughts and feelings. You're going to do this at the start. And it means that you're not going to put them on the spot, because putting your players on the spot for something like that is a kind of a dick move. Don't do it. There are rules to all of these. For example, the flashback move can only happen once per session to each character, where they have the spotlight, like when a scene is focusing on one character. So if they're acting the main focus of the scene, a player or MC can invoke this move and delve back into the character's backstory, or let the player describe an action that they took in the past that's relevant to current events. Think every heist movie you have ever seen where they have that one twist moment, where like the bad guy has disrupted the plan and you've got the hero, tied up, and they're like, but actually, turns out I knew this all along. And it's like, it's a silly thing, or it can be a very serious thing if you're going back into a character's backstory and be like, hey, this is why this is a big fucking deal for you. It's good shit. It's storytelling. It's engaging with characters. It's getting people to think about who their characters are and where they come from. Because, as City of Mist is, despite the fact we're going over shitloads of rules right now, it's a very rules-light system. And the standard of which I immediately I judge that by is 5th edition D&D, which some people say is too rules light because those people played 3.5 and their parents never hugged them as children.
Also, AKA has just suggested a character based on who is the aspect of a plot twist.
Oh my god, yes!
Like that would be a wild
I am the
character.
plot twist! No, you would be the subversion mythos because your entire thing is just flipping the tables.
Yep, absolutely. You'd have one card that's just listed as fucking M. Night Shyamalan.
Just literally like your entire the theme card is just called M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
What a twist!
What a twist every time. Oh my god, it's great. But probably the most cinematic of these cinematic moves is, of course, the montage. Gonna need a montage. Personally, I fucking love a good montage. I really do. It's like, there's always a bit, especially in like cop shows or detective series, where they have that whole thing where like they've got all the documents like laid out a beautiful mind style and they're piecing everything together and you got like a action shot. Sometimes they're like asleep on the couch and they're like, oh, I've had an idea, or they're up all night, you can see the dawn, and they're like, there's all the coffee cups like strewn everywhere. Loads of shit. I love that shit. Montages can only happen during sort of downtime in a session, like to help push the story forwards, or as the characters are investigating the mystery, like I said, or building something or exploring their mythos. Like, as much as there are problems with the previous presenters, there was a kind of a running bit on like the specials of Top Gear, back when Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond were the hosts, where they would be like, and so then it was time to find a workshop and cue the music, and then they would have a montage of them customizing the car for whatever purpose it was, be it cutting it to shit to get across a salt plain or making it aquatic.
My favorite one will always be the boats.
The boats,
just because
they did it twice. Remember?
And they just, most of them still work.
Because they did that one twice. Because they did it once.
They did do it twice, didn't they?
Yeah, because they did it once on like a reservoir, and then they tried to cross the channel.
They did. I'd forgotten about that.
They tried to cross the channel on a really pickup truck.
Stupid shit.
Oh
man.
Like, Top Gear was never a car show. It was never about the information of the car, but some of the silly shit they did was amazing. Like, I have a special place in my heart for when they took a Toyota Hilux pickup truck and then just tried to destroy it.
Yeah.
trying to destroy it. They ended up blowing up a building under it.
So dumb.
Yeah, so dumb, but so funny. Like, if you ever want to go back and watch Top Gear, do it in a way to make sure that Jeremy Clarkson doesn't get any money. And
yeah, pirate it.
Yeah, pirate the fuck out of it. Pirate the shit out of it, because also fuck him and also kind of fuck the BBC.
Yeah.
Pirate the shit out of it and watch the specials episodes, like the ones where they take big long fucking European trips, because some of them are really fun.
AKA has just said progress.
It's all right. Well, here's the thing. It's actually kind of relevant that we're doing this because the last move is geeking out over the credits.
Yes.
Which is absolutely my favorite of the cinematic moves, not just for the title, but because it's a really, really good tool in an MC's toolbox to, work with the players. Basically, this marks the end of your session. Like, when you have the Brennan Lee Mulligan moment of, and that's what we'll end our session. See you next time on Dimension 20. That whole thing. You have a bit after that. This marks the end of the session, or episode if you want to call it like that, because again, this is very episodic and based a lot on TV shows. You go around the table and answer one of a few questions, which are listed out in the book, based around the crew's relationships and the events that have happened in the session, to either add help or hurt points that can be tracked in the character sheet, and that you could use to assist or hinder your other players. And I really do love this concept because it really can help bind a group together. And it also kind of demonstrates that your player characters not always getting along is still a thing. And it can actually still be a really narratively good thing. Like, I fully encourage anyone who's playing City of Mist to, stick to a character's ideals. If another player's character is doing and I stress this, player's character is doing shit that your character doesn't necessarily get along with, let that play out. Let that be in the story. Make sure that everything is chill between the players. As players, again, remember my rule. Remember the golden rule of TTRPGs that I said earlier. Remember who your character is, and don't be a dick. Okay? Because some of the... Again, just to bring it back to the campaign I played previously, when I was Graham, the amazing handless pyromaniac. I played with my friend Fraser, and he was playing as this sort of teenage runaway kid, who basically we all wanted to deal with the kind of the drug crime that was happening in the local area, but for very different reasons. My character is very community minded, his character is very revenge focused, and the Bane kind of cross there was his character killed people and mine didn't. There was a huge moral twist there. And I remember talking with Fraser about it, and he was like, yeah, man, this is really because he had beaten someone to death with a magic baseball bat, after which I had basically pinned him to a wall and said, what the fuck are you doing, you psychopath? And I remember talking to Fraser afterwards, and him going, yeah, man, this is really cool, because I'm playing a young character, and we've got you as an older dude being a mentor figure, and the third player is being a slightly more violent mentor, and it's a really cool kind of dynamic. So always make sure that things are cool between players, because things do not have to be cool between player characters. Have conflict, change things, have issues, let characters grow and influence each other. It's a story. Tell it together, have that conflict. It's cool. But remember, don't be a dick.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of the structure. You'll always start with a voiceover monologue, and you should always end with the geek out over the credits. Everything else happens in between.
Yeah.
So we gotta ask the question, what does a case look like? Because City of Mist is, at its core, a noir mystery game. It's very detective focused. You're not exactly going to be running around burning down buildings and murder hoboing your way through everybody without some serious goddamn consequences. Okay, that's not really what we're doing. Think about the sort of remember the connection to the real world as well as the magical abilities. If somebody's having a rampage, there's going to be problems. So what does the actual case look like? What does it look like when you finally manage to convince a group of friends to get together and try out this cool new game that you found because you're subscribed to the Brothers Honey Twitch and YouTube channel, and we've told you about it? Yay!
Yay!
And you've subjected them to this entire 2-hour-long meandering mess. Well, once you have bribed your MC with snacks, it is all about the mystery. This is a noir thriller game, so don't expect to go murder hoboing your way across the city without there being some serious consequences. Like I said, just because you have the power to fling fireballs or freeze people in their place with your stony gaze doesn't mean you should go around doing it to everyone. Although, now that I think about it, that could actually be really interesting if you set it up right.
You just said don't murder hobo.
Don't do it, but if you're gonna do it, if that's the plan, talk to your MC about it and let them go, alright then. Time to fuck with you.
Set up a murder hobo campaign.
We're not setting up a murder hobo campaign. Because honestly, genuinely, murder hobo campaigns are actually kind of boring.
Again, I think it depends what people are into.
Yeah.
I would be curious. Yeah, I would be curious what a murder hobo campaign would look like in a primarily roleplay based game like this, which doesn't have quite as many clickety clacks and maths.
Yeah.
As something like D&D
like
does.
D&D or Cyberpunk. Probably with some pretty dedicated people hunting you down.
In fact, Froyo just made exactly the same point. But then, of course, that might be the point if you were going to run a murder hobo campaign, would be the purpose is to attract the powerful people's notice and to see what happens.
Yeah. See what happens. Anyway, everything in City of Mist is, ironically, a mystery. It's all about the mystery. Every mythos has a mystery or a question baked into them, it's just the mythos that have the mystery baked into them. There's always questions. It's like you're always seeking something. You're always seeking answers. Every mythos has a mystery or a question baked into them, so not only will players be trying to deal with the mysteries in front of them in the broader case, but they will be trying to deal with the mysteries within themselves. And again, this is a noir game, so no matter what, it's a mystery. And remember, try and work out kind of who your investigators are. This is one of the parts that's really big up to interpretation. Like when you're working out your characters, do it together. Do it with your other players. Unless you have a very specific reason not to, and you want to talk to your MC about that, work out your characters together, because you can build each other into your relationships and into your world and into your places. For example, when back in this campaign I played, my character ran that cafe. It was kind of a frequenting spot for other rifts. Fraser's character, the kid, came in there every once in a while. It's one of the reasons I made it a cafe instead of a bar, because he decided he was going to be playing a kid. And my character was an ex-criminal who had, who kind of an ex-thug. And the other player, William, his character was, I think retired special forces, I think was the thing. Dealing with some trauma. There was some trauma there. It was fun. It's quite a scary. I think it's actually, I've played RPGs with William since I have started playing RPGs. I've seen this guy do some scary shit. I don't think I've ever seen him make a character that was scarier than that. That includes the time he played a homicidal imp that had more magic in his left pinky than most liches did in D&D. But that was homebrew and some weird shit. Anyway, but the two of them connected through a local gym where the two of them boxed together. So you can build characters together, build relationships, and try and work out what kind of investigators you are. Because in any given case for City of Mist, it is all about the larger mysteries. You'll have, all about mysteries in general. You have your larger and more immediate mysteries like who killed the local forest spirit, or who stole this magical artifact from the museum, or whatever bullshit your MC has cooked up. The key to this is going to be the group dynamic, like I'm talking about. Try and work out who your investigators are, relate them to each other, build them together. Are they small Are they small-time detectives or just associated with one? Like one character can play a detective, and other one's like guards at a bar, or like an actual their police contact. Because there's always the private detective with the police contact every fucking time. Are they
Can
part
I
of
just
some?
check with the chat, by the way, because your audio's going in and out from. It's just started going in and out for me. Is anybody else having this problem?
Testing, 1 2 1 2. Are we good? 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 About it?
May or may not be lovely. Run. Yeah. What's up? Sorry. So the type Johnny has been loud and clear. Perfect.
As always, I have never been accused of being anything other than loud.
That roar in the soundtrack is drowning you out. Been some background noise though. Right. Okay. That's probably background noise. Then.
There's been some traffic. Sorry.
Fair. So that's it's just.
We're gonna
God damn it!
We're gonna build Chris a soundproof box at some point.
In a city of mist.
Right,
so types of detectives.
Yeah, work out what kind of investigators you are. Are you, small-time detectives? Are you part of a supernatural division of the police force? Or are you just a bunch of schmucks thrown together by circumstance? Never underestimate the power of schmucks thrown together by circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really the opportunity for the D&D style, you all meet up in a tavern kind of thing. Unless you already know each other. Give yourselves the reasons to know each other. Actually, if you're playing D&D, give yourselves the reason to know each other as well. Why are people together? Why is this group formed?
Yeah.
Okay? And for those of you who want to be MCs, who want to be the glue that holds the entire City of Mist experience together, 1, I salute you. And 2, work with your players. Absolutely work with your players. They are going to set up character elements and mysteries during their character creation. It is your job to follow up on those and incorporate their personal matters into the game. Give them that payoff. The way that characters are set up heavily incentivizes players to set the stage for character progression and internal struggles. Use that. Give your players a reason to invest in the game and see the payoffs in their characters. They're gonna want to find out shit. They're gonna set up mysteries. They're gonna have holes in their characters. Fucking give them the payoff for that. Okay? Work with them. Okay? They're handing you free plot threads. Start knitting!
But sir, what if we only like crochet?
Then fucking crochet something!
Excellent.
Make this blanket story. The flip side to that, however, is, of course, players. Work with your MCs. If they drop a plot hook in front of you, tug on it and see where it leads. If they mention a character name a few times, take note of it and see if you can follow up on it later. Try to take some of the weight off them as well. When they ask you to do the opening flashback, really think about how your character would describe the situation, and genuinely don't be afraid to ask your MC for a quick reminder of events before the session. Okay? Speaking as a fairly experienced dungeon master at this point, admittedly, I don't have to deal with this very much because I've had a very, very skilled and very respectful and dedicated group of players who I am eternally grateful for. But the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with as a dungeon master, and a game master in general, is dropping a plot hook or a big relevant detail in front of my players and then they just fucking ignore it. It is unbelievably frustrating, and even more so in a narrative-focused game. Players and MCs, you've got to have respect. The point is, in any TTRPG experience, there needs to be a level of respect between the game master and the players. Otherwise, it really does all break down. So, work with each other, have some politeness. Game masters, don't get frustrated when people ask for a reminder of what's happened. They haven't been as immersed in this world for as long as you have because you've been writing it between sessions. Players, allow some patience for your dungeon master. They've put a lot of effort into whatever they're making. work with them, and help run with their story. Okay, but don't be afraid to take their story in new fucking directions, because again, some of the best times I've ever had as a dungeon master is when I have thought a player is going to do one thing, and they have just fucked off in another direction with whatever I've built, and it's turned out to be fucking amazing. Okay, this is as with all TTRPGs, this is a collaborative storytelling experience. In fact, more so with this. Work together, people. Have respect. Be nice to each other. Don't be dicks. Remember who your character is, and don't be a dick. I'm gonna get that fucking tattooed on every forehead of every player I ever deal with. Who is a dick. Okay? And that way, hopefully, everyone can have a good time. Is that a question from the chat, or from you?
No, I was just gonna say, like, the soapbox has been mounted and stepped off again. Let's go to the next thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There is no next thing, because... Thanks, everybody, because the final bit is, most importantly, this is a game. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun.
Hooray! We like having fun.
Having fun is a great thing. And City of Mist is a really cool RPG. My advice is, if you are genuinely thinking about playing it or running it, go onto their website for Son of Oak Games. They've got a bunch of free material out there you can look at. If you have the money and you're wanting to be an MC, consider buying the books. But the books are expensive, so don't get like everybody buy the books. Share them around. Chris, are there any questions floating around the chat that might be worth asking?
No, just you said, don't derail campaigns, and AKA went, hiya!
I didn't say don't derail campaigns.
No, you said don't ignore obvious plot hooks.
Don't ignore plot hooks to fuck off and do something dull, okay? Like, when the dragon attacks the city, don't try for a shopping episode.
Yeah, no, that's that kind of thing.
Yeah, that can fuck right off. Don't do that. That's disrespectful. Now, here's the thing. There is another reason why we were talking about City of Mist today, and City of Mist in particular.
Is there?
There is.
What is it?
Because I am very proud to announce that for the next few weeks, on the Brothers Honey Twitch channel, on Monday nights, I will be running a campaign of City of Mist with a number of players, with actual people.
Ah, shocker!
Not just Chris.
No. Although we will be having me in it. I am playing. Just here to do that.
I will be your master of ceremonies. Chris will be one of our players, and we have 3 exciting special guests who will be joining us as players. Now, a little bit of housekeeping, because these are going to be whole ass RPG sessions. We're gonna be changing the times a little differently.
Yep.
Normally our streams run from about 8 till 10 p.m. As this one is approaching. Because these are whole ass RPG sessions, we're going to be starting a little bit earlier and potentially finishing a little bit later. We will be starting at 7 p.m. and finishing... We're going to aim to finish around 10 p.m, but that might not be so possible.
We will do our best.
I also have no idea how long this is going to run.
This is true.
But this is going to be the other half of the sort of like long-term series thing. We'll still be doing our regular streaming stuff, chatting shit about Pokemon, doing some homebrew stuff, talking about whatever the fuck crosses our mind, swearing an unreasonable amount.
Yes.
But kind of this is a thought that Chris and I had a while back, is we will get a lesser-known RPG system. We're probably going to play some D&D as well, don't worry.
Yeah, we've got a whole shit ton of homebrew that we've made and have yet to make that we're going to need to include in a thing at some point.
Fuck yeah. But we're going to take lesser-known RPGs. We have a few lined up. We'll do one of these presentations, either Chris or I, or potentially a third party will get on. Who
guest DM? Who knows? Maybe when we're rich and famous.
Rich and famous. Fuck off. Rich and famous. It'll be my mate Blair, who wants to run it. We'll do a presentation talking about the system, sort of bringing you guys through it, and talking about it, and then we'll spend the next few weeks running that system in a little campaign with people. This is the most prep we've put into any of our streaming stuff, which admittedly is not saying a lot, because previously the entirety of the prep resulted in me making the template documents for the homebrew and stealing the images off Bulbapedia for the Pokemon tier lists. That's the total of the prep we've done. This has been... I have planned a whole ass mini campaign.
Yeah, this is the... Although, obviously, neither of us depend on this for income, thank God.
You have income?
But, it's like, we just want...
Because I don't.
I don't. No, I don't make income, don't be stupid.
I don't have an income.
An income? In a capitalist society? Never. But it's more just to say that, this is... Yeah, we're gonna do more shinier and bigger and better things, because we enjoy it, so why the fuck
fun.
not?
And we get to talk about and play really cool RPGs like this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a few RPGs in mind. I won't spoil which ones, but there's a few things that Chris and I each want to talk about, different systems that intrigue us. Because in the TTRPG space, D&D kind of gets a lot of the highlight, but there's a lot of really cool other stuff out there that is very much worth playing, especially if you don't want to go digging into something as rules heavy as D&D. Or if you want something even crunchier, you can go and play something like Cyberpunk Red, you fucking masochists.
That's crazy people do exist, but it's like there are so many TTRPGs out there.
Big space.
And they just, each one offers different ways to be creative.
Exactly.
And this one is going to be heckin' fun.
This is going to be really fun. This is due to my great love of mythology. Also, by the way, I think we should just do a stream at some point where I just talk about mythology.
I am very, very happy to do, although we probably need to restrict to a particular mythology.
Yeah, I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah. And I'll just ask you questions like, I'm sorry, they fucked what?
Yeah, at some point we should do that as a stream. I'll just get drunk and talk about mythology. It'll be great.
Sorry, still one of... So...
I'll pound a bunch of whiskey and tell you about the time that Odin shat out poetry.
I mean, that sounds great. One of my favourites will always be the time that Zeus had sex with someone whilst appearing as a bee.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. And the reason I love it the most is because there's an opera about it.
And that's our family origin story. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
So you can all join us next week at 7 p.m. on Monday night for our first session of City of Mist. And until then, you can follow us here on Twitch. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Brothers Honey, where all of our videos go up afterwards. You can follow me on Twitter at JonathanHoney4. You can follow Chris on Instagram at ChrisHoneyActor, where he's doing some cool shit with an interesting opera company. You can find all of my writing and reviews. Also, anyone who says that they're noticing a strange resemblance between the We Are Not Legends series and City of Mist, I see you, I know where you live, and I have petrol. Josh, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm plagiarizing. I'm doing. You can find all of that writing, those are my game reviews, at www.jonathandavidhoney.com. I released a review today for a very edgy roguelike called Blade Assault, which is actually surprisingly pretty fun. Go and read the full review. There's some fun swearing in it. As always, you can support me on Patreon, at Jonathan Honey on Patreon, at Jonathan David Honey on Patreon, where we will be putting some interesting stuff relating to City of Mist on it. Who knows what we'll see? Stay tuned. And yeah, I think that's us. I think that's everything. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a blast. I'm really, really looking forward to playing this game and running this with everybody. This is gonna be really, 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 really fun.
It's
I suggest
going to
anybody,
be very, very exciting.
once again, just to plug the game we're playing, the publishers are a company called Son of Oak Games. They're really cool. Go and check out the website.
The website is currently the pinned comment in the chat.
Yes, go and look at that. Go and look at some of the example characters they've got, because they do a great job of showcasing like the breadth of things. They've even got some there's even like some sample comics in the books to like demonstrate some of the characters. It's really cool.
There you go.
Go and support them because they're a small company. Because fun little look behind the scenes very quickly. Whenever I set the category for one of these streams for Twitch, it tells me how many followers that topic has. City of Mist has like 400 odd followers, which is not a lot for something like that. It's so go and support them. Go and talk about it. There's a podcast of them called where I think some of the developers play it, called Knights of Paintown, that I am just starting to listen to. It's really cool. They've got a whole character creation episode that is very much worth listening to. So thank you everybody for joining us. This has been really fun. This game is going to be fucking great. We're going to be running it every single week until it finishes. I don't know how long that's going to be. Depends how much my players fuck around. Depends how much shit they throw me. Depends how much fun we're having. But it will at least be finished before Christmas. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
It might even be finished before Halloween. We'll see.
Depends how much we fuck around and find out.
Depends how much you fuck around. Depends how much you find out. Because again, it's all about the mystery.
Oh.
Exactly. Thank you everybody for joining us. Check out all the links in the comments and all the bullshit that we were talking about. Please keep coming back.
Yes, and goodbye, because we're bad at ending a stream.
Yes, and
goodbye!
And finally, remember who your character is and don't be a dick. Goodbye!